Thank you all for joining. The audience today is pretty slim, unfortunately. I don't know why, but this has been one of the biggest driving conversations for many of our students. We work with a number of students who are moving through technology and engineering. So I will be using this, I share at the end, that we'll be using this as a recording, so we'll make sure that they get this information to all of our students. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and open up. I'd like to take this time to invite you all to sort of consider the land that you're sitting on and remember the people that were there before you, and then also to remember that the people you're bringing into this conversation, your relatives, your ancestors, your elders, we invite them to be here to help us sort of learn what it is that we are to learn and to open up our minds to what next steps look like and open up the conversation to be more helpful to whatever it is that we think that we need to do in reference to community service and development. So thank you for being here today. And we will go ahead and start off with Kimberly. I do not know if your colleague is on board yet, but we can go ahead and open up with you if you are ready to go.
Yeah, I am. Vicky was going to come not to the end, so maybe we won't. I don't know. Maybe she won't make it or whatever. Then we'll see, because she had something. We're splitting the time.
Okay.
So can I share screen? I got a couple of slides.
Yeah.
There it goes. Okay, cool. Well, thanks. This is fun to be able to share different things. I just have a few slides to talk about graduate programs in general of College of Engineering. I'm a chemical engineer, and my colleague Vicky is an environmental engineer. So of course we know a lot more about those than everything, but this is engineering overall. So just give you a little idea for engineering graduate programs at the U of A. First, I just like to show you, especially students, wherever you are, where we are and what we have in our state. It's pretty fun. We've got Tucson is down towards the bottom of the state, and we have beautiful places for outdoors. It's Sedona, the Grand Canyon, Havasu Falls, and of course, a lot of the Little Saguaro National Monument with the Snoopy cactus, for those of us that remember what that means. In Tucson itself, there is actually a little bit of snow sometimes, but essentially Tucson's a place where there's a lot of hiking, outdoor things, some life outside, some old-fashioned Western things, tons of biking, and I don't golf, but tons of golf for people who like that kind of thing in Tucson. The U of A is actually right in downtown Tucson. We have MS and PhD degrees in a variety of engineering disciplines. So aerospace, mechanical, chemical, environmental, electrical, both biosystems, a little more agricultural based, and biomedical, material science, and then systems and industrial engineering through here. Our campus actually is on Tohono O'odham land. So we are situated on Indian land. We also have some kind of places outside of the city. We have the biosphere, and I know people think of the biosphere from when people live there, but now it's actually kind of a really cool research laboratory. We can look at climate and things like there in a very controlled environment. We can do climate change and things. We do telescope work up on Kip Peak, and we do quite a bit of stuff in terms of space. So engineers that are interested in space type things, OSIRIS-REx we're the lead of that. That's the little space thing that's going out. Picked up some samples off of a meteor, and it's going to come back. So we do that kind of stuff as well. We also have quite a few kind of cool places where students can work as well. We have like a lot of, because of the space stuff, we have a lot of imaging. So when that core comes back, they'll do a lot of imaging and stuff in the Kuiper facility. Got a lot of nanoscale stuff, and we have a lot of clean rooms. So if people are interested in semiconductors or computers, we have like little areas to work in those types of things as well. We also have what's called the West Center. This is actually a pilot plant for direct potable reuse water. So a lot of water purification types of things, wastewater to potable water, lots of sensors and controls, a lot of industry involvement. and a lot of analytical equipment so that we know what's in people's water and so forth here. So that's another area we do. So this is a little late. You might hear that from other people. You know, usually our application process, we like people to apply a little bit earlier, but it is still open, and there is still funding available. One thing just to note is GREs this year aren't required, and we're really trying to get away from GREs. The chemical engineering, for example, is not requiring GREs for admittance to graduate school anymore. And then since they'll have the slides, you know, here's where the application stuff is. And then one program I just want to talk to you about is we have an IndigiFuse program. This is sponsored by the National Science Foundation, where we look at Indigenous energy, water, food, sovereignty, and security. And it's an interdisciplinary program where MS and PhD students come. And this is done in partnership with the Navajo. And we do a lot of different off-the-grid water purification systems and then a lot of greenhouse systems. Those are probably the two integrated systems we work on. A lot of water purification and agriculture, brine management, things like that. So on the Navajo, a lot of the things are disconnected. There's not everybody's on the grid. And so we're working on systems to assure safe food and water for the Navajo people through the research and stuff that we do. And our graduate students go up there, and a lot of the engineering disciplines are involved in this. And through that, this whole IndigiFuse program, we do cultural immersion. So we go to the Navajo when it's not COVID, and stay in Hogan's and do some things with students. It's a pretty fun program, actually, and do a lot of professional development. And been a little slow on the internships, but we hope there's a bit more this year, again, once we come off of COVID. Oops. This is the application for the IndigiFuse. I didn't have the date on here, but this one's due 2/28. So there still is a little time for that, but again, you know, it can be rolling. If there's a really good student that's interested, you know, we'll see. We can see what happens. But that for that particular program, it's due the end of February. And we also have a Sloan program. So a Sloan program is specifically for Indigenous students to get funding for graduate school. And so we have that funding mechanism very specifically as well. And that's a little later deadline. That one's April 1st. So that's just hold a couple minutes. That's kind of the big picture of who we are. And I think that's what I have. Oh, and then my contact and Dr. Cola's contact as well, so that you could get us in directly if you needed to.
Great, thank you.
Is that what you were looking for? Yes, kind of big picture? That's, I thought I'd just give big picture there.
Yep, sounds great. We will now look to Allison Gus at the University of Colorado to share about her school.
I can get my mute off. Hello, everyone. So I wasn't exactly sure what to do with my PowerPoint here. So it is very general. So just let me know if you have any questions. There's a lot of resources on our website, and we do individual advising appointments and all that with students. So if you have anyone that's interested, have them get a hold of me. I'm trying to find my PowerPoint here. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, so if you can see that, this is our main building here. So this is our student services building. We just feature that in the background so that students are familiar with it. So we recently redesigned a lot of our curriculum to be more all-encompassing. We found that students needed more of a cross-collaborative design and computing experience before leaving the college. So while that does start with the undergraduate, that tailors heavily into our graduate programs because we do offer the 4+1. So we have a lot of students that come, will start as undergraduates and then segue into our graduate and PhD programs. So just to kind of touch base on our strong groundings there, we are the College of Engineering, Design, and Computing now. So a little bit of a mouthful, but our new dean is putting a lot of great initiatives into place. So yeah, a lot of exciting things happening. So again, just a few things that we focus on. I apologize. I thought this was going to be more for students. So I was just said, you know, we have a ton of organizations, a lot of new certificates in health technology and smart cities and such that reach across the different boundaries. So I'll go into our here. Oh, I can go back. Well, we are oh, okay.
Allison, this is for students. You just can't see them.
Oh, I apologize. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So quick facts about our college. Average of 1,300 undergraduate, 430 graduate. We do pride ourselves heavily on our high female involvement. So 24% female, 75% male. So that is an increase over the national statistic. 39% students of color. So we are the most diverse campus in the state of Colorado, which we're very proud of. And something you may not be familiar with, the College of Engineering at CU Denver, we share a campus with Metro and also with Community College of Denver, which allows students the opportunity to be involved in prerequisites if you need to, or research opportunities with those different campuses, and just building partnerships, again, around the city of Denver and around our metro area and with the different universities. So again, that just contributes to our diversity. All right, and so faculty, we are a 26-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which is rather small. So very proud of that. We like to say we're small, but we're mighty. And that allows you a lot of opportunities to work hands-on with your faculty and to really be involved in the research and the education and be in those lab spaces working with the faculty daily. So we do cover 5 different departments, 8 bachelors, 5 minors, and then 15 graduate programs and 10 graduate certificate programs across the 5 disciplines here. So here I will go into, so this here is just a quick layout of the programs that we offer in the bioengineering, civil engineering, computer science, electrical engineering, and mechanical. And so I guess our best suited certificate, for this program, we do have the environmental stewardship of Indigenous lands, which is a joint partnership between the College of Engineering, the Geography and Environmental Sciences, and so the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So again, you get to work cross-collaboratively with students from across the university and get that experience in. All right, so just a little more in-depth on our graduate programs. We have our Master of Engineering, intended for students from a non-engineering undergraduate degree. Master of Science, intended for those who have previously studied in the engineering fields. Our Engineering and Applied Sciences, and our core PhD, which are Engineering and Applied Sciences is meant to focus, again, for students who are coming from a non-engineering background, so that we can give them the opportunity to continue their educations. So that, I apologize, I kept it very simple for everyone today. So I can put my contact information in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to set up a meeting and discuss with you in more depth at a later time.
Great, thank you. Now we will turn it over to Chelsea Begay at University of New Mexico.
Hi, let me see.
I think, Allison, you have to pull your presentation off, or, okay.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Ja, Chelsea Begay and Sha. Tani Satni Shlek, Leshche, Veshin, Tkachini Ada Shiche, Ashiha Ada Schnelle. Hello, my name is Chelsea Begay. I am Navajo. I am from Tohajale, New Mexico. Tohajale is located about 30 miles west of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I am the program coordinator for the Indigenous Design and Planning Institute. We are housed within the School of Architecture and Planning. So I'll give a little bit of information about our institute and then our school. So IDPI is what we like to call ourselves, IDPI, which is the acronym for us. This is our space, usually within the School of Architecture and Planning, and this was during a graduate event. And so we like to put up posters of some of the recent projects that we do. We have our first project, which is the project from Isleta del Sur. We have some preservation projects and then Main Street projects. So we're involved heavily with a lot of different programs within our school and tribal communities within the area. So let me talk a little bit about IDPI. IDPI was an initiative that was started in 2011. Our goal is to educate and inform Indigenous design and planning by engaging our faculty, our students, professionals, community leaders, community go-getters in culturally responsive practices. We deal within 3 areas, which is academic, professional, and tribal. So let's quickly talk about our team. Unfortunately, Professor Ted Hohola wasn't able to join us today. He is our fearless leader. He is the professor who started the Institute. So our director, Ted Hohola, is a distinguished professor, Regents professor within the Community and Regional Planning program. He is Isleta Pueblo from Isleta. So he's a really fun guy. If you ever get a chance to come to the school and visit us at our institute, we will always introduce you to him. If you pass by him in the hallway, he'll always make a funny snide remark to you. He's a good time, so we always enjoy his leadership. Our next staff I will be talking about is Michaela Shirley. Michaela started off at, I believe, Arizona State in the urban planning program there, and she got to know Ted Hohola when he did a few classes there during a semester, and she did her master's degree at UNM in the Community Regional Planning program. She is Navajo from Quintilichi, and she's currently in a doctorate program in the American Studies department. So her and I are always busy being staff and students. My name is Chelsea Gay. I graduated at UNM School of Architecture and Planning in the Environmental Planning and Design program. I am also a 3rd year graduate student in the Masters of Community and Regional Planning with a Indigenous planning concentration. I'm Navajo. I've been at the Institute for about 3 years. Michaela's been there for about 5 years. And she was there before as a graduate student in the graduate student position. Our newest member is Isaiah Smith. He graduated from UNM. He is our multimedia assistant. He is Navajo, so he helps us with a lot of our technical website development, a lot of projects within our institute. So we like to definitely keep track and use video and audio to just document our projects. So he helps us out with that. So some of the missions and goals of the Institute, like I said, we work within three realms. One is the academics. So within the school, we work with the architecture program, the community regional planning program, and the landscape architecture program. We provide internships for students. We also like to let students in on some of the projects that we're working on, not just in a studio setting, but also as a student employee. So they get that real world experience with working with tribal communities. We also like to do different exchange programs. One of our biggest partners is in Mexico within Puebla. So we have a really good relationship with them, as well as different tribal colleges across the nation. When we're working with tribes, we provide technical assistance to them. They come to us with an idea within a realm in their community, and we see how we can provide community engagement support. A lot of our students hold really good qualities, so we try and bring those qualities to the tribal communities with the projects that they're hoping to get done. Within the professionals, we have a lot of great alumni, especially architecture alumni, and they always come back to the school and hold different courses. And we're lucky within our institute, we're pushing the Indigenous curriculum. So we get to bring in guest lectures, guest professors, and a lot of them are Indigenous practitioners who sometimes are working on their own firms and have their own projects to do. So we have a great collaboration with them, as well as the APA, which is the American Planning Association, and all of the other associations concerned with architecture and landscape architecture. So one of the ways that we like to work is talking about the 7 generations model. So when we go into a community, we look at the 7 generations model, and we look at the projects that the community wants, and we look at the different I guess, timeline, the different people within the community that are going to be directly affected by the projects, and the institutions and resources within that community. And so we look to knowledge of the past community, and that informs the present planning for that community to build towards the future of a prosperous community. A lot of communities that we come across, community members are frustrated about the lack of progress that is happening within their communities, and these different projects that we embark upon help to bring out those different concerns from the different stakeholders within tribal communities. So this is just a sort of river diagram of the different ways that IDPI has been in collaboration within those 3 realms of academia, tribal, and professional. So these just name some of the different projects that IDPI has embarked upon. Within tribal, we have our Cochiti Plaza preservation. We have the Zuni Main Street project. We have the Nambe Plaza restoration. And the great thing with all these projects is that at the end, what we're able to provide for these tribal communities is an actual really nice report that's laid out with what the students, some of the ideas that students have brought to the project. If we're working in a studio setting, like a actual classroom, having our students go out pre-pandemic and hopefully pretty soon, going out into the communities and gathering information. We package that really nicely into a report, and those reports are housed within our institute, and we're always open to community members, students, faculty, looking at those reports and gathering resources with that. So, like I said, a lot of the projects we do is local to New Mexico, to the Albuquerque area, but we also really embark within places in Navajo. Ysleta del Sur down in Texas was one of the first projects that IDPI was able to do. Again, we're trying to go globally and nationally. So we have partners from Kansas State University. We help out in an annual institute that comes out of Wisconsin. We're working on our exchange program with Mexico. So our overarching goal is to foster sustainable communities among Indigenous populations, guided by Indigenous principles and Indigenous worldviews. So just talking a little bit about the application process within our school. Like I said, our school houses architecture, landscape architecture, community regional planning programs. We also have graduate certificate programs within historic preservation and urban regionalism. Our most recent, and we're really proud of this, graduate certificate program is within Indigenous planning. So we're working on getting the curriculum up for that. We're hoping that that will be a really inclusive online program and wouldn't just be for graduate students, but also professionals who are looking to sort of increase their knowledge in Indigenous planning. So within architecture, we have our Masters of Science in Architecture, our different track programs. In community regional planning, we have 4 different track programs. Natural resources, Indigenous planning is a concentration that we got approved back in 2016. And so we've had about 15 to 20 Indigenous students come through that program, and now they're able to go back to their communities and look at and sort of share the knowledge that they got from the program. Within the community regional planning program and the graduate program, there's 3 different ways that you can graduate. One is the traditional thesis route. Another one is what we call a iTown studio. So that is an annual studio that a professor will hold, and they have their different connections to different communities or different projects that students can help out on. And another one is and I'm going through this right now, is my professional project. So in my professional project, I'm hoping to work with my community in updating their land use plan. So you see a lot of really interesting projects come out of that type of program. So our application process is really easy. You go through the university, but you also go through the different programs and the different concentration or tracks that you would like to go through. And our graduate advisor, Mikela, is really helpful in that. In the CRP program, you do have to provide a letter of interest and a couple of letters from faculty members, but there's mail-in applications. Usually the deadline is in February, but I think right now, especially during the pandemic, it's very open. It's not a strict program. And if you talk to our CRP director, Rania, or any of our other directors, that is definitely the first step that we ask students to take. So again, this is just some of the really cool stuff that has come out of IPI. We had a great relationship with Art Place America. We recently got the $2 million in grant for creative placemaking in higher education, working with our partners at the different tribal colleges. Again, our relationship with WAP, which is the university in Puebla, Mexico. We're always reaching, we usually have studios that deal on Navajo. So this last one was the abandoned uranium mine with Red Pond Water Road Community. That's close to Gallup, New Mexico. Ted was on TV. We just celebrated our endowment with the people at the Frontier, which is a restaurant across the street from us. And if you ever come to Albuquerque, you always have to come there. We'll treat you out there. We love that place. we have a lot of really great partners. The American Indian Council of Architects and Engineers, our people from Our Place America, our mayor in Albuquerque is a huge supporter. We do Mug Mondays every Monday, and pre-pandemic and hopefully soon we provide coffee and discussion with the students and community members that come through our space. So that is our institute. This was when we were up at the New Mexico legislature honoring one of our great partners. So you can follow us on our website. We also are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chelsea. Just a footnote. I met Chelsea when she was an undergrad and she participated in a program that I used to run in Washington, D.C. So it's a treat for me to see how far she's grown. And we partnered with IDPI on a project a couple of years ago in sustainability. And I had an opportunity to go and work with them just to see the project. I wasn't the lead on the project, but for some reason I was lucky enough to go down and just sort of like sit in meetings with the community and with their staff. And he's right, Ted is a hoot. So if you do get a chance to ever meet him, he is awesome. But the work they do is phenomenal. I think it's the first time I've heard of that type of work being done in reference to thinking about planning, more specifically like in holistic community development versus just sort of like homes or components of what that looks like within the community. Thank you, Chelsea. Next up, I think it's Marie, but let me double check really quick. No, it's John. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Jack. I'm a big fan as well, and my colleague Moises is always up to nothing but good out there as well. So let me just share screen a little bit here, and I'm John Aslanian. I'm Director of Recruitment and Student Affairs for the Harvard Graduate School of Design. And so excited to talk with you today and give you some insights into the school. Let's get there we go. So we're talking about opportunities in specifically about engineering, and so first thing when you hear that word design, we kind of want to break apart thinking about the disciplines and think a little more about the topics, right? Because all these, when you're looking for graduate school, it's usually the issues and the topics that are really driving you. And so when you look at this list, you can probably figure that where the work you want to do is probably in combination of 2 or 3 of these, or one of these and in a very specific geography. So these are the themes and the topics that drive all the work at the School of Design. Similar to what you just heard about UNM, we are a school that we're looking, architecture, landscape architecture, urban planning, urban design. We actually have a lot of alumni that are faculty at UNM, so there's some really good connections. But I think one of the interesting things about a design school is that it is a great convergence between kind of like creativity and artistic ability with technical skill. And how do you kind of bring those two together? How do you take something like computation and apply it to environmental conditions, right? So I'll show you some things that we do that may be of interest. In general, Harvard University, a lot of people have heard of it, but not too many people necessarily understand how it works. It's a number of smaller research graduate schools along with an undergraduate college. So it's quite large, but it's based almost primarily on research. And so it has tremendous resources in all different areas of the world, all different topics and issues. Our school itself is about 950 students. And it's a United Nations, if you will. We have over 55% are from somewhere other than the United States, and then we have a lot of diversity from within the United States. We're majority female. as you can see, 129 different undergraduate majors represented. So, within that are definitely, some of the hard sciences and engineering, but there's also, studio art majors and things. So depending on the program, you're getting this real interesting mix of backgrounds. In terms of the size of the school and then the size of your cohorts, we cap our studios right now at 10 students per studio, and our seminar courses are only 12 students max. So even though it's a large entity full of people from all over interested in all different things, when you get down to the work, it's actually quite intimate. So it's a very interesting way to think about even scale in terms of the scale of your working group and the scale of a school and resources, having the advantage of a large research institution, but then also having these small intimate experiences is a really nice combination. We're online right now, so we're in 14 different time zones. There's 82 different nationalities at the school, and we are a STEM school. So all of our programs are STEM designated with the Department of Education. So that opens up a whole additional layer of financial aid opportunities for people. So, when you're thinking about once you've kind of identified programs that you're interested in, you're thinking about how the funding would work. Understand that there's a whole group of scholarships and fellowships and things that are available, for American Indians and Alaskan Natives and Native Hawaiians and any other way that you can slice up your identity. There's money. So you have to kind of think about that aspect, but then you can also think about what is the program about. And STEM is the area where there's probably the most amount of funding available. There's a lot of scholarships available for STEM. So I think that's something that we can put on the shelf and talk about later. But to just understand that this school, even though it's more on the creative side, in some ways, it is very much, a STEM school, or some people like to call STEAM if you add the A in there for arts and architecture. A particular program I wanted to focus on today is the design engineering program. This is a program that's unique, both in the academic landscape, but also within Harvard. It's a program that's housed at the design school, but it's a collaboration with the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences at Harvard. So we created this program about 5 years ago, based on the fact that we had a lot of students in the design school kind of approximating this type of combination of social sciences, engineering, design implementation, design work, and how could we create a program that actually could sort of launch a new way of learning, a new graduate program. And there are some programs similar to it. There's one at MIT, there's one at Carnegie Mellon, there's one at Stanford. Cornell has a little bit of stuff, but none of them really take the sort of systems approach that this particular program has. So it's still somewhat unique. Let me just, sorry for the zooming in and zooming out. I'm going to share something else here. So this is the website, mde.harvard.edu. And so I encourage you to kind of check this out. It's separate from the GSD website, but it has a lot of information that would be helpful in terms of how the program breaks down in terms of having a cohort. I think one of the most important things to understand is when we're looking for students for this program, there's 3 different areas that we're looking at. We're looking at a cohort that's going to have a third people from design backgrounds, architecture, art, whatever, like design backgrounds, a third from engineering backgrounds, and a third from social sciences, computer science, and data science, business, and everything else, right? So when we get our applications, you're really competing against people that have a similar background to you, academic background, right? So then we put those together, and we're learning through a sort of design school kind of format of open studios and open-ended projects, but you're in a cohort with designers, engineers, and social science. And that's produced some really, really fantastic work. And You can see there's some different things like food systems, for example, you know, and you can just look, you can pop through and take a look at some of the work that's been done and things. So I'm not going to go through too much of this, you know, but I encourage you to kind of poke around. I think it's a kind of program that can inspire people, you know, think about different ways of looking at grad options. The one behind me in my photo, that's the Graduate School of Design. That's where all the students at the GSD work. So half of your program would be here, and the other half would be in this building, which is brand new and actually hasn't even been used yet because of coronavirus. So it's still waiting for its first group of students. But this is a state-of-the-art facility that Harvard's created for all of its engineering and applied science and technology programs. So really just a phenomenal facility that we're really excited to. So you have this combination of this facility and the Graduate School of Design. So it's a neat combination. We also have something called the Center for Green Buildings and Cities, which is looking at a lot of ways to have, you know, net zero buildings, you know, buildings that produce net positive, they're producing more energy than they consume. We've taken, you know, so there's a lot of research that's being done that you can be a part of if you're interested in kind of combining this sort of engineering and technology and computation with the built environment in that way. And then I'll see, do I have any other pages to share here? Well, yeah, we can show you a couple of things and I'll pull back to them in the slide deck. This is a studio we did in our planning program. So, you know, similar to some of the stuff that the IDPI does, you know, Harvard's finally getting around to doing some of it ourselves, which is good. So this was one we did in Vancouver. You know, and so there's a lot of things. This was open to architecture students, landscape architecture students, and urban planning students. Really interesting. We have a student group called the HIDC. You can see they posted on their Instagram the activities this week with the AICF. And so I encourage you to follow the HIDC. They're doing a lot of cool things, hosting a lot of really interesting events. And then I'll just wrap up with just a couple more thoughts. Here we go. So we have this little summer program, Design Discovery. If you're kind of thinking about getting into some of the you know, design fields, architecture, landscape architecture, thinking about cities, thinking about you know, built environments. It's a really interesting program to think about. You know, it's open to anybody. It's only 4 weeks long this year. It's usually 6 weeks in person. This year we're doing 4 weeks online, reduce the price. There's plenty of need-based scholarships that are available. But it's just a really interesting program. You get a certificate. If you're a current undergrad, you could talk with us. I'd be happy to speak with you myself about, sometimes your home institution will provide credit for it, usually in some capacity of like an independent study or something. So we don't actually provide credit in this program, but a lot of students do get credit at their home institutions. So it's something to think about. It's a really interesting way to spend 4 weeks and kind of, you know, think about projects and problems in a different way. I mentioned HIDC. I'll also mention 2 other resources. HUNAP, the Harvard University Native American Program, fantastic resource, helps you connect with Native students all across campus and undergrads in the college. And then Graduate Horizons is a program that I know Jack's also high on, you know, in terms of really getting you prepared for your applications. If you know kind of what you're looking at, then doing something like Grad Horizons can either solidify that or sort of make you think, actually there's these other things I didn't know about, and then get yourself ready for the applications. What does that essay need to look like? You know, what are some strategies for reaching out to you know, mentors from the past to write letters of recommendation. So Grad Horizons is a really good program for Native students. And then again, there's my email, jjslanian@gsd. Happy to speak individually with anybody about any of the opportunities and things that I've mentioned, or just kind of grad school in general. You know, where do I go from here? So thanks again, appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, John. Now I'll turn it over to Philika and Jackie.
Thanks, Jack. Let me go ahead and begin by sharing. And I'll go ahead and begin my introductions. First of all, I would like to thank the American Indian College Fund, as well as the Native Pathways Initiative for hosting this event. We're really excited to be part of it. And also special thanks to Jack for extending an invitation for us to speak on behalf of Purdue University, as well as the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership Program. So to begin with, Yat A She Philika Ahastin Bryant and Chia, Nashasha and Shle Kia Ani Bashachin, Todachi Nization Chedo, Nato, Den Tachini Asianella. So as I said in my own language, my name is Philika Ahastin Bryant. I am from the Navajo Nation, born and raised in New Mexico. I currently serve as the director for the Native American Educational and Cultural Center at Purdue University, and I also serve as co-PI for the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership Program. And as Navajo people, we always have this really long introduction with all our clans, so a shout out to all my relatives out there if I have any. As part of our presentation, I'm very pleased to have Dr. Jackie McDermott, who is going to be joining me to talk about the Purdue Engineering Program. And we do have a video that we'll share from one of our students who's currently enrolled with the program. So to begin with, Purdue University is located in West Lafayette, Indiana, in the Midwest. We are an hour south of Indianapolis and 2 hours north. Am I saying that right? I'm really directionally challenged. So an hour north of Indianapolis, 2 hours south of Chicago. And with our location here in the Midwest, we are located upon the traditional homelands of the Potawatomi, the Miami, the Shawnee, and the Lenape Native Indigenous people. We recognize that there are some additional tribal nations that called Indiana home, but again, due to forced relocation or in some cases extermination, these tribes are no longer here. But regardless, we do thank them and for all their work in creating a safe space here for everybody to enjoy and appreciate. So thank you to our Indigenous caretakers. With the Native American Educational and Cultural Center, we are one of 5 cultural centers at Purdue, and we opened our doors in 2007. We credit our graduate students and an initiative called the Tecumseh Project, which came together and raised awareness to some issues that were taking place. As a result, the NACC was open. So again, that shows the power of the student voice. So we want to make sure that students understand that and use that power and create some good initiatives on your respective campuses. With the NACC, we were the first center open in the state of Indiana that focused on Native initiatives on the college campus. And so with that, our focus is on advocating for students, both for their academically, socially, culturally, and ensuring that they have a safe space where they can come and thrive here at Purdue. Additionally, we work hard to provide educational opportunities in the form of presentations that we host, inviting speakers and attending sessions like this. So we're raising awareness to issues that are taking place throughout the country. One of our signature programs is called the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership Program. And we're really pleased to have this. I'm gonna have to stop sharing. I have to come back because I always forget to do that last part. You know, where you have the little button at the bottom that says share computer sound. So there we go. So I'm gonna share my computer sound because I have a video here that I want to provide and that talks about our Sloan program and all the wonderful things we do here. So let me see, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just kind of give a start here. Thumbs up, can you hear it? Okay.
It's a great opportunity to be able to attend a big university, especially a Big Ten university.
The Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership, or the SIGP as we refer to it, is a partnership between the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation and 9 universities in the United States.
The purpose of the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Program is to get Native American students into STEM graduate programs.
The financial support is very helpful, especially as being a poor graduate student.
Students who join the SIGP at Purdue are guaranteed an assistantship, and that assistantship includes tuition. But then beyond the assistantship, at the master's level, they'll receive $20,000, which they can spend over 2 to 3 years that they're in the program. And if they're in their PhD program, they can receive $40,000, which they can spend over the 4 or 5 years that they might be a student.
The funding we get goes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. Let's see. I'm going to fast forward up here. Sorry.
It's a great opportunity to
$40,000, which they can spend over the 4 or 5 years that they might be a student.
The funding we get goes straight to the students, and this is important, especially as someone who still provides for their family. I can't stress this enough, is the community within SIGP, because I honestly feel like I wouldn't have gotten this far without the networking that I've done within the SIGP community.
What we try to do is to help build a community within this really large institution that feels more like home.
One of the key things for the success of the program at Purdue for Native students has been the Native American Educational and Cultural Center.
Once I started getting to know everyone at the center, then it kind of brought a little bit of home here.
Students who come to Purdue can expect to work with world-class faculty in facilities that are also world-class. But I would say the reason that students should come here is to join this community that we've created to support them.
SIGP is more than just the funding, and there's also a community standing behind you to get you through grad school.
So that's a little bit about our Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership Program. I will add that we are, here at Purdue, we have over 13 scholars that are currently in the program, and we have a retention rate of 93%. So we're really proud that we actively recruit students, bring them to Purdue, and watch them as they grow, graduate, and move out into the world. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jackie, or Dr. McDermott, so she can, I already got her slide up here. So go ahead, Jackie.
Great, thank you, Felica. Again, thank you for having me here today. I'm the Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment and Retention. And so what that means is I actually get to work with undergrads who are looking at engineering graduate programs. And then I get to do and help support them, help those students as they are graduate students at Purdue and as they kind of move along in their career. So again, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited about my work with our current Sloan Indigenous Grad Partnership engineering graduate students. So Purdue Engineering is actually the largest top 10 engineering college in the country, and we rank 3rd in public engineering graduate programs. We have 13 different schools of engineering or engineering disciplines, and so here you can see them on the slide. They range from aeronautics and astronautics to ag and biological engineering to environmental and ecological engineering, and even all the way down to materials engineering. So we have a very wide range of graduate programs here at Purdue Engineering. Most of our programs are highly interdisciplinary, and so you'll actually see that there's a lot of overlap between faculty who are really trying to study those cutting edge research problems that kind of span a lot of disciplines. And so I really, whenever I'm chatting with prospective graduate students, I encourage them to really look at the faculty, figure out what projects and areas really are of interest to you, and then figure out where those faculty sit. So we have, like I said, we have very highly interdisciplinary programs. Not only, when you come to Purdue as an engineering graduate student, will you be taking classes and doing research, but we really encourage you to think about your professional development and think about your next step. Where do you want to go in your career? We want to help you get there. So we have a number of professional development programs, from workshops of like doing your resume or CV, all the way to mental health emails that go out monthly, all the way to different panels where we bring in either alumni or people within our network to talk about what it's like to be in a career in academia as a faculty member, or what it's like to be out in industry, or what it's like to be kind of in that field that you really want to be in. So there's a lot of professional development within our college as well as at the graduate school. We want to help you reach your goals and help you get that graduate degree to get to that point. So as you heard in the video, we do have funding for our master's and PhD students. All of our Sloan Indigenous grad graduate partnership. Graduate students are fully funded, so I'd be happy to chat if you have any additional questions on that. And if you guys are undergrads and maybe freshmen, sophomores, juniors, I would highly encourage you to look for different opportunities, summer research opportunities, or different opportunities just to test drive your field. I know that John was talking a lot about summer programs and different ways to kind of get your feet wet. I would definitely highly recommend that you check out. Purdue has a Summer Research Opportunities Program, SROP. It's part of the Big Ten Academic Alliance. And then we also have a SURF, or Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship Program as well. And these summer research programs are really cool because typically in a non-COVID year, you get to come to campus, you get to see our facilities, you get to see how you can fit and if the community is right for you. And one of the really cool things is that in engineering, we have a number of different research facilities. We actually have the largest academic propulsion lab in the world, which is super cool, located out by our airport. And we also, I like to say, from the biggest to the smallest, we have a really large scale civil engineering building. I call it like a building to build buildings. You walk in and you see like literally buildings constructed in a building. It's really cool. And then to the smallest, we actually have a nanotechnology facility. So that there's probably hundreds of researchers who work in that building. It's huge. So there's a lot of really great resources there. And, in terms of application deadlines for our graduate programs, those tend to be in December and January for that upcoming year. So since we do want to fund you and give you money to come study at Purdue, we encourage you to really be thinking ahead about those application deadlines. I'll drop my email in the chat and you feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about our graduate programs. And I'm just going to turn it over because you're going to hear from Tammy, one of our, she's a second year PhD in our environmental and ecological graduate PhD program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tammy Brandon. I am a Montana native and a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians community. So a little bit about myself and about my story. I grew up in Montana and decided to attend the University of Montana in Missoula, Montana, to pursue my bachelor's in chemistry, which I received in the spring of 2016. So while there, I worked in an analytical chemistry lab on an ocean acidification project. I've always been passionate about water quality and water chemistry, so this was right up my alley. Following my bachelor's, I took a year off because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do for graduate school. I knew I wanted to go, and ultimately I would like to be a professor, and I knew that even at that time, but I knew I was going to change fields a little bit, and I ended up moving into environmental engineering and decided to go to Montana Tech in Butte, Montana. And part of what attracted me to this school was the presence of the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership. I knew the school itself had a reputation for high job placement and preparation for further graduate studies, but the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership was able—
Oh my goodness, let me see. Sorry about that.
Was able to provide me with financial support, but also a community or a home away from home during my master's. So while there, I worked in an environmental microbiology lab on my thesis, which was related to eutrophication, combating eutrophication through denitrification. And I completed that in the spring of 2019 when I received my master's. I had applied to earlier that spring a lot of different schools and was accepted, but what drew me to attend Purdue University for my PhD in environmental engineering was the presence of a Sloan program because it was so invaluable to me during my master's. I knew that would continue during my PhD. So currently I am in my second year of my PhD at Purdue University, and I'm working on a chromium and other aqueous metal removal project from industrial wastewaters using surface modified biochars. So the ultimate application of that would be water quality and preventing further contamination in natural aquatic systems. So thank you everybody for listening to me today.
Okay, great. We'll take
Hello everyone.
Of many of our wonderful students here at Purdue. And as we wrap up, I do want to just come back to what we said in the video, that the Sloan SIGP program is part of a larger network with a national program across the country. We have all our 9 institutions listed here. Purdue University serves as the lead institution, and we meet on a regular basis. We often take, pre-COVID, we would have our meetings at the National ACES conference, and we were able to bring our scholars together. In particular for our Sloan program here at Purdue, we have weekly seminar meetings, and we meet to connect with students and check in with them. Jackie is one of our members of our local Sloan group here, so we work hard to ensure that our students are doing well. We check in with them, and if there's anything we need, we can help them along the way. We're able to provide some support. So in closing, my information is here. As I mentioned before, Dr. Gibson, Dr. Ridgway are both Sloan PIs as well as myself, so feel free to reach out to us. And that's it. So I really appreciate you inviting us to share this information. And if there's any questions you may have, feel free to drop me a message, and I'll also put my email address in the chat. So thanks again, Jack, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you. Now we'll look to Marie at Carnegie Mellon.
Great, thank you so much, Jack. Thank you all for having us and for being here today. I am just going to put my presentation up. Let's see, starting here. Yeah, there we go. So thank you very much. I'm Marie Coleman, and I'm with Carnegie Mellon University and the Heinz College. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about our university and college. Sort of taking a little bit of a different approach to a career for engineers by talking a little bit about public policy and management and possible tracks that you may be interested in pursuing. I'm assuming that most of you have some technical backgrounds, and as you're looking towards what you want to be doing in the field, hope you'll consider applying some of your skills in public policy. It's an area that has an influence over so much in our world and in our communities. But sometimes the folks who are making those policy decisions don't really have the science and tech backgrounds that they could really benefit from. And in terms of setting policies that really impact all of us. So in the field, we have programs that can focus on energy and new economy jobs, that focus on the environment and climate change, that focus on data analytics, information systems and cybersecurity, and those might be some areas that you're interested in. Policy organizations, for sure, the folks on Capitol Hill who are making decisions about all of our lives really could benefit from some of the expertise that you may be developing as an undergrad. Your experiences from your communities could really use those perspectives. So jobs on the Hill, jobs in Washington, jobs with associations and advocacy organizations, and of course our federal, state, and local governments as well, really could use that science and technology perspective. So Carnegie Mellon University is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is a beautiful fall photo of our campus. It's a little colder and snowier there as it is, I guess, across the country today. But it's really a wonderful campus, very well known for a lot of things having to do with science and technology and robotics. We even have expertise in things like the arts and design and theater and drama, and also known for entrepreneurship as well. But it's a really dynamic place. I've been there for a number of years, even though I'm not based in Pittsburgh anymore, but it's really a wonderful dynamic campus. We also have a College of Engineering. I'm not going to talk too much about that today, but I'm happy later on, if you want more information, I can definitely connect you with the folks in our engineering department. But it's a very diverse campus and working on a lot of interesting and exciting things that are really impacting the world today. I work specifically for the Heinz College, which is our public policy school. But in addition to being a public policy school, we're also a school for information systems and management. So it's a really unique juxtaposition of two schools that maybe seem like very different topics, but actually there is an intersection of the two of them that's, I think, really having a moment, and has been having a moment for maybe the past decade in terms of how tech is transforming really everything that we do, how we work, how we understand things. Of course, now with the pandemic, how we're learning and doing our jobs because everything's online. So it's really an interesting combination. I also think that our perch as a public policy school is really dynamic because we do sit in the midst of all this tech innovation happening all around us. So people who are coming up with robotics and AI systems and facial recognition software and understanding how people learn, we're sitting next to those innovators and being able to think about how that impacts people and policy. So it's a really neat vantage point for looking at things that are impacting us every day. We have a number of amazing centers on campus. These are just a few examples. I heard the other presenters also talking about very similar initiatives on their campus, and I'm sure we're collaborating with a number of them. But we do a lot around smart and connected communities, looking at things like research into ride sharing, education into the impact of autonomous vehicles, which is really interesting. We have research into things like privacy, looking at social security numbers and personal privacy of information that we share so freely right now, and even looking at things like vulnerabilities in voting systems, which very important, timely topic as well in some of the discussions that have gone on over the past couple of months here in the US. And even research into things like preventing deadly infection or even tracing counterfeit and stopping counterfeit drugs. But I could go on and on. There's sort of a lot going on at that intersection of technology and policy. So there are a number of different degrees and programs that I'm going to highlight really quickly for you. I'm not going to go into depth into too many of them, and I'm happy to take questions or you can follow up with me later. But within our public policy and management program, there's probably several tracks that might be interesting to folks here. Our traditional public policy and management program, we also have a data analytics focus, and we also have a healthcare analytics and information technology. So if healthcare is more your interest, we have some expertise in that as well. We have a number of different tracks. Our traditional program is actually a 2-year full-time program, degree program in Pittsburgh. And we have our traditional program with a number of different concentration areas as well as data analytics. The Washington, D.C. pathway is the program that I run. I'm actually based in the Washington, D.C. area. So if you are interested in eventually coming to DC and really getting close to policy making and the policy decision makers, that's a program you might want to take a look at, and I'm happy to talk to you more about that. We've had a number of students with strong technical backgrounds come through our program. A big part of that DC experience is that you're working in your second year, 4 days a week for an organization here. So this is really a clear pathway to a professional position. And our students who have come with engineering backgrounds have gone to positions within the federal government for the most part. There's a big initiative going on right now in the federal government to focus more on evidence-based policymaking. So they're looking to bring in those skills, people who have really strong data skills and science and technology backgrounds to sort of contribute to that. So it's a really great time to be looking at these types of careers and to be in Washington as well. Oh, excuse me. And within our MSPPM program, there's certainly a number of policy areas. I've highlighted a few that I thought would be of interest to this group. So cybersecurity, data analytics, environmental, energy, systems concentrations, as well as technology and telecom. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other areas as well. And you can even design your own concentration as well as a student in our program. On the information system side, there are also programs that may be of interest to this group. So really quickly highlighting a few here, and happy to pass along more information. But cybersecurity is a huge issue, and we have a really strong program, Master in Science, for those who want to be in information security policy. There's our Master of Information Systems Management program. There's one focused on data analytics, and then another track that is also blending sort of technical and leadership skills that you could take a look at. These are some examples of projects that our students have worked on. So one of the neat things about our program is that the 2-year track programs all include a capstone project that students do in the 2nd year of their program. The capstone project is in lieu of a thesis. So students work in teams on behalf of a client to help solve some sort of public interest issue, typically combining sort of policy management, technology, and data. And so these are a couple of the projects that students have worked on over the past couple of years. We have great outcomes. The skills that our students learn are in serious high demand. We have really great success with students being hired by graduation, and even a couple of months afterwards. Even this past year, that was a particularly challenging year with the coronavirus. We still had within 6 months, I think close to 100% of our students with their jobs, full-time jobs lined up. This is just a short sampling of where some of our students have gone within our public policy programs. So. I'll talk really quickly about admissions and scholarships. Our admissions process, our applications are typically due in early January. We're currently reviewing applications for students who are going to enter our programs this fall. We will sometimes take late applications, but I think the deadline this year was January 12th, and it seems to be the same every year around the first, second week of January. We require almost the same, typical types of things: transcript, recommendation, resume, essay. The GRE has been optional the past 2 years because of the coronavirus limitations. We haven't decided for next year, but our program is very quantitatively focused. So we do really like to see that students have either taken the GRE or GMAT, or have had some classes in, things like statistics or calculus or economics, just so that we can get an idea of the aptitude for some of our more quantitative classes. We do not charge an application fee. You don't need to complete a separate application to be considered for scholarships. And one of the great things is that we have some wonderful admissions partnerships. We have one with the American Indian College Fund. So the students who are participating in this would qualify for that. And there's a guaranteed 30% of tuition scholarship and up to 100% based on your application. There's also a number of other external fellowships and scholarships that are available. Carnegie Mellon has wonderful resources to help students find external scholarships and sources of support. So wanted to point this to you. It might be helpful even if you don't come to Carnegie Mellon, but there is sort of great support for helping students fund their education. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that after we're done the presentations. Just some resources to explore. There are a couple of programs that you may want to take a look at before you apply, or if you're still in your undergraduate years. One that I would point to is the PPIA program. It's a Public Policy and International Affairs program. They have a number of programs. They have a summer fellowship as well as we offer a public service weekend with their partnership. And these are really great opportunities to get to learn a little bit about graduate public policy education. We particularly, Carnegie Mellon has a specific focus on data analytics. So if that's something that you're interested in, you may want to check out that program. The great benefits, I mean, it's a fun program. If you get accepted, it's fully funded. There's no cost to attend the program. I think there's even a stipend involved in it. You get to meet a wonderful group of students interested in public service in some way. And at the end, the students who complete have wonderful opportunities for scholarships to maybe over 100 or 200 public policy graduate schools. So it's definitely something to take a look at if there is an interest in leading with public policy in your future grad school plans. There's also a couple of summer programs that we have. Hines College has an IT lab summer security intensive. And again, this is a program to really encourage and recruit students from various backgrounds, ones that maybe aren't traditionally representative in sort of cybersecurity and information technology. So that's an interesting summer program that you can take a look at. If it looks like you are going to be applying for graduate school to the Hines College, we have a diversity and policy mentor program where current students from Hines will help students who are applying in on their application packages. So if you're a first generation student or a student you know, from, you know, that just wants some help and mentorship in applying to grad school, you can get paired with a current student and they'll help with all kinds of things, even reviewing essays or giving comments on essays and, you know, any other sort of insider questions or help that you might need with your application. And lastly, this slide is just my contact information, as well as that of our Director of Admissions. And I will put that in the chat as well. I'm happy to help out, you know, just shoot me an email. And if I can't help you, I can definitely get you connected to the right folks at Hines or at Carnegie Mellon. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Now we'll turn it over to Neely.
Hi. All right. Thank you so much for including me today. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can because I want to leave a little time for questions. I recruit grad students for all of our grad programs at North Dakota State University. And some folks don't know a lot about NDSU. We've heard about some outstanding programs today, but I'd just like to tell you a little bit more about North Dakota State because this might be the right fit for you. This is what campus looks like today. It actually is snowing. This is our beautiful bison statue. We are a land-grant university in North Dakota, and we are very well known for our agriculture, engineering, and sciences. Fargo, North Dakota is a delightfully, surprisingly vibrant city. If you haven't been, I'm from down south and it's a wonderful place to live. People are very friendly. There's a lot going on. The university is also a very friendly place. We are a research institution, but our faculty really focus on teaching as well. And I'll get to a little bit of our research later. We have 75 graduate programs. Today, I'm really going to be focusing on our engineering programs. 2,000 grad students. Our tuition rates are very low, and all students from Western states in the US pay in-state tuition at North Dakota State. Many grad students, especially at the PhD level, are fully funded with graduate assistantships. Our Graduate Professional Skills GPS Academy is a great program that helps prepare students for careers in academia, nonprofit, industry, we have sessions and programs throughout the year to help prepare students. Also have a Native American Student Association. Now I'm going to skip this slide and just move straight to our programs today. All of these programs have, we have detailed information about the course requirements, faculty research, labs, resources online. So I highly recommend you take a look if you're interested in any of these areas. A lot of our programs are also interdisciplinary, so it's really all about finding that potential advisor or lab that is the right fit for you and what your research interests are. I don't know if we have any underclassmen on the call today, but any of these programs can be accelerated. So any of these programs can be a 4+1 bachelor's plus master's program, if you so choose. This is maybe 5% of the research happening at NDSU. I just grabbed a few different areas to put up here just to show the research really runs the gamut. Our faculty are really well known, some across the world. There's just so much interesting stuff happening. Actually, this professor in the center here, Dr. Wang, she is working on a breathalyzer that detects blood sugar levels for diabetics. That's just a cool one to give you an example. Our application is fairly straightforward. If you're attending today, then we would like to give you an application fee waiver, so you can just let me or the graduate school staff know when you apply. Most of our programs, engineering programs, do not require GRE. A few do. You can just check in with us. Some have waived the GRE for this cycle. And there are many deadlines that we haven't quite hit for fall. So it's still time to apply for fall 2021 if you're interested. This slide really just is to say, contact me if you need help. And I can always connect you with advisors and faculty if you need help with that. North Dakota State is a great size because we are big enough to have resources, world-class faculty, a diverse student body, but we're small enough that you really engage with your faculty and with your advisors. When you're in the lab or in the field, wherever it is, you're working with them. You're not just one of dozens of grad students in there. They really do mentor you, you learn from them, they learn about you. Those are the people who will ultimately be giving you recommendations for jobs once you graduate. So I think that's really important.